times of mixing,
And to go.
and to go, you remember, it was all about.
What was your mixed name?
Oh my gosh, fancy lips. I don't know how I got that name, but yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jones. If you are a new subby, welcome to the channel, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. And today I have a guest. I have my friend Noma. How do you pronounce your surname? Is it
Noms? Cools. I'm going with your vibe.
Okay.
Youngs and Doves.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
but Queedy.
Okay. It's Noms. Cools. Yeah. So I don't know. She's married to our friend Elias, and what else? What else would you like people to know?
We've got 2 kids, a girl and a boy, and I'm a physio by profession, but I'm very in the artistic world in terms of my passions.
Yeah. Okay, tell us more.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I do nails, makeup, cooking, baking, decor,
Sure.
that type of vibe.
See, and also I think we'll leave your social media details as well, so that people can connect with you, and if they want to do their makeup, their nails, they want to order, then they can connect with you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fitting for our topic.
Yeah. Whew, listen, so we are diving into a very tough conversation, and I think we'll try and handle it with so much grace. And also it might be triggering for some, but we'll try to handle with so much grace. And also I want to say that not everybody is represented here. It's just the two of us having a conversation, and we're not representing the entire society of people who go through this. So we're talking about trolling toxic parents on social media, going on social media and hanging all the dirty linen from your household because you've been hacked, you've been traumatized. And so I'm going to be asking her questions so that that's how we'll try and have this conversation, between the two of us. And also I think I just want to make a comment, just a general comment, that like how God designed things in the beginning, like his perfect design, it was that we would be born in a nuclear family and that we'll be raised by both parents and we'll be loved well and be taken care of well. And I think some of the conversations that we start having on social media, we should be our first place of having those conversations should be with our families, and also because those are the people that we are in conflict with and fighting with. Cool. So my first question for you is, what is social media to you?
Wow. Okay. So ever since the times of mixing,
And to go.
And to go, you remember, it was all about.
What was your mixed name?
Oh my gosh, fancy lips. I don't know how I got that name, but yeah, and it's like, hey, even after mixed was never a thing.
Sure.
So maybe I do that. So, but for me, I mean, I think even now, it's still a place where I just felt, hey, let me connect with my friends.
Sure.
Let's have a platform where outside of school, we're still talking and catching up.
Sure.
And then we moved out from Mixed into Facebook, and that was relatively the time where majority of my friends and I went to varsity or some started working. So we just used it as a platform to just kind of catch up on each other's lives.
Sure.
You know, just see, oh, this one is doing so well, you know, and plan reunions that never happen.
Okay.
But for me, social media is just, I felt that it's, you know, it's just a platform where we just share our social interactions in picture or in video, you know, and then we encourage one another by comments, likes, sharing each other's stuff. But I think obviously that's my ideal.
Sure.
But the reality is that I mean, social media is so much more. You know, it's a business hub.
Sure.
You know, for a lot of people that know how to properly use it. You know, your influencers, podcasters, YouTubers. You know, it's just like a business hub, something that people can use as a side hustle or as what they do on a day-to-day.
Sure.
But then also there's the negative aspect of it, where you know, we are experiencing it being a platform where there's just a lot going on that's very negative and that impacts negatively on people's lives. So yeah, as much as it has the good, it also has the bad.
Sure.
But I mean, I still use it as just a very light thing. You know, I'm not
as
big.
A tool.
You know, a light tool. I'm not big on like monetizing it as yet, because also maybe I just haven't learned how to get into that space. But I know it's bigger than what I think it is.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, as you're speaking, oh my gosh, I think I want to have another conversation now. I think my next conversation is just going to be about social media, because I'm like, oh, while you're unpacking, I'm like, oh, there's a lot actually that goes on into using the tool and how it affects one's life. I think now it's about toxic parents. I think there's another side of it. So the second question then would be, do you think it can be a safe space for us as a society to address our past, present traumas and heal on the platform?
Sure, you know, when you mentioned that God's design was really just for people to be brought up in a nuclear type of family unit, you know, so I value that a lot.
Sure.
I value human interactions, you know, because psychology also teaches us that, you know, if someone is going through a lot and you just tap them on the shoulder or you hold their hand or you give them a hug, that human touch, it produces endorphins, you know, or serotonin, some feel-good hormones.
Sure.
So I don't really fully support the idea of airing anything that's very traumatic on social media.
Sure.
But I do understand where people are coming from. That, you know, the very same people that you should be talking and having conversations with one-on-one are your perpetrators.
Sure.
You know, so you don't have a safe space in the human relation form.
Sure.
So you feel, let me take it on social media because they're strangers, people who don't know me, so I'm less likely to be judged. You know, and the people will most likely be able to relate with what I'm talking about. But then also you get being in that same space where you find that you'll get people that are not empathetic or sympathetic, then, you know, they will plant seeds, you know, that you brought that upon yourself, you know, where, you know, and then you start doubting your own story, your own experience, your own reality. So I would just really advise that, you know, if you can just find that one person that can be like a root in your life, that you can always just, you know, say, hey, I need someone to talk to, you know, I'm just not dealing with my trauma, then I'd rather advise that than, you know, going and seeking for strangers' affirmations or strangers' consolement and stuff, because it comes with a lot of other negative things, you know, and there's no realness in there. Whereas when you're having one-on-one talks with someone, I think, you know, there's that human impact of it that social media takes away. So, yeah, that would be my stand on that.
Cool. Sure. Whew, okay, we are going to go into the next question. But I think also I want to comment and say that it has really become sad that we do not have people that we trust in our communities, and especially in our households, where we feel like, oh, okay, the abuse is from my mom or my dad. Then it becomes a very sad reality.
True.
And then you look for options, and then extended family, because those are the people that we're supposed to go to. That's why we have extended family, when the immediate family, and then when all hope is lost, I think that's when people go on social media and find a community of strangers who can relate, who are also going through the same thing. But the thing is about social media, it's a court with no boundaries.
True.
It's people who are hiding behind their phones. And the things are almost like not so real. And also you question the healing, but how far can I go? Because healing is continuous.
Yeah, true.
It's not something that, today it was really great. I connected, with a bunch of strangers online.
On social media.
We spoke about it, and I'm really feeling good. And it's true, it's valid that you feel good. But healing is continuous.
True, and most of the people who comment will just kind of like be very on the surface, like, oh girl, you can get through this, oh girl, just meditate through it, or manifest, whatever this new age vibe type of thing is. But if it is possible for someone to get, for example, professional help, if you've tried everything, family is just off boundaries, but then you do manage to get professional help, and it is professional help that's pro bono. Not everything has to cost us money. What professions in that space do, they give you coping mechanisms, they give you strategies on how to start healing with whatever trauma you have. So that's why I would rather advocate for that, and then just going out there, because most of the time as well, you find some of the posts, it's just to kind of like gaslight our parents, blast them out because it's a trend. It's not really that we're looking for help. It's like, I want the attention on me now because I'm not getting it at home. But it's not a healthy way to get the attention that you need.
Sure, which is so sad. I'm glad that you're talking about therapy, because I'm like, some of the things, I listened to Clement's show yesterday. Is it yesterday? I think the day before. And he said that a 16-year-old killed his mother.
Wow.
And that was like so devastating to listen to. And the reason is, the mother said, please adjust the volume. Like, the music is so loud. And I'm like, what could this boy possibly be going through? Because that means, like, whatever, he was not in the right state of mind.
True.
And he needed some help. Yeah,
definitely. I don't think just his mom saying that could have triggered that type of response. There's definitely a deeper something going on there. And
Sure, cool. Let's go to our next question. What is off limits to you on social media?
Wow. First of all, pornography. The Bible says we need to flee. Flee from all temptation. So I don't subscribe or follow or endorse anyone who pushes that type of content on their social media pages. It's their page. They're free to do whatever, but I won't support it. And then secondly, people who push propaganda, more especially against a certain type of people or a certain type of group of people.
So pornography is OnlyFans. Do you mean that?
No, I mean, have you seen Facebook and Instagram? You just
Oh,
go
yeah,
around
yeah.
and you
Okay,
find
okay.
ladies, you know,
Yeah.
like, or people just doing things, you know, and you find that maybe I used to follow you 5 years ago and you've evolved and grown and you feel now you need to be putting out such content, you know, then, you know, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna unsubscribe or, you know, so like, honestly, I mean, last year I had to really do a proper clean out of my social media. Whereas the people I had been following 5 years, 10 years ago, that started off really giving good information, helpful information, knowledge and faith-based stuff. And I guess they've evolved and they feel that's not what they want to do anymore. So they're pushing propaganda, they're pushing content that's demeaning to either to women or men, you know. So I try to stay clear of exposing myself to that. You know, I know I can't fully control it, you know, because sometimes things just pop up on your wall and you're like, why is Facebook or Instagram proposing that I'd be interested in this, you know? So, but yeah, I try to unfollow and not comment or reshare things that don't really align with my principles and what I don't want to be influenced by.
So, and then things within your limits. What is it that you would like? I am not going to share this on social media.
Yeah, like I say, I would definitely not share like propaganda stuff, like, you know, news that first of all aren't even verified. You know, I also usually do my own research when I see there's something that's trending, you know, because I want to hear the both sides of the story, you know, so that I can stand for something. You know, I'm not like today I'm here, tomorrow I'm there. And then definitely like stuff that demean one gender or one group of people. You know, I don't support that or reshare that. You know, things that are bullying, like things that push that concept of bullying or this cancel culture on people. You know, I don't support that. Like, you know, on my social media, I never post about other people and you know, this person, I think they could have done this better, you know, or whatever, you know, and then now you're giving people ideas that weren't there, you know, you know, you want to be in this hype of canceling certain people, you know, so yeah, my social media is literally just very limited to people that I grew up with, and then I follow like nail content, makeup content, you know, baking, cooking content, because that's what I'm interested in, and I want to grow in, you know, and I want to upskill in, and I feel okay to expose myself to those things, because, you know, the things we see and hear, they really do go to our soul, and they can shape how we look at life, how we look at ourselves, you know. I mean, I remember back in varsity, if you were not an influencer, like on Instagram, you were not it. You know what I mean? So like, so I had to make that decision. Like, am I gonna be following all these influencer ladies who I know some of their lifestyle choices are very questionable? You know, I'm just gonna, you know, stick to what I love, what I like, and be sane.
My next question. So can we talk about toxic parents and the details of what they've done without having a conversation with them first?
Okay. Sure. So this one, I really do hope your followers, you know, aren't upset at you after this interview. They're just my opinions, they're not youngers. We have to firstly look and define the word toxic, because I think it's just so misused. You know, by no means am I justifying any parental behavior that is harmful to their children. I'm a parent myself. I would never ever want to impose any harm on my kids, be it intentionally or unintentionally. But, you know, when you speak of a toxin, where the word toxic comes from, you know, biologically, it's a microorganism that gets into a host and poisons the host, leaving the host debilitated. So now, I wonder if people, when they say toxic, do they understand? Are they saying their parents are poisonous in their lives? You know, in that, because you have to think about it that way. You have to be very objective about certain things. You know, we can't always just
use
go
words
on,
loosely.
you know, and go on what feels right to us, or what everybody's saying. You know, be very biased, be very subjective about certain things. We have to be a nation, or a youth actually, that's very objective and very empirical about things, because we lose the meaning of things when we are not objective. You know, so when a parent chastises you for provoking him or her, which the Bible is also against. You know, we shouldn't be provoking our parents. But because you want to do whatever you want to do, then you call your parents toxic. That shouldn't be used in that way. You know, as children, we need to understand, as long as we are under the authority of our parents, we have to be obedient to their laws and authority over our lives. And you know, I know some people are gonna be like, yeah, so if your dad says go climb off a cliff, are you gonna do it? Guys, we can't be thinking of outrageous things like that. Obviously, you're not gonna, just because you live under your parents' house, if they say drink poison, you know, you're gonna drink it. No, I'm not speaking about such outrageous things. I'm talking about authority, you know, rules that are in and around the home, you know, that you as a child, because you're staying home, you should be submissive under. So a lot of us, because social media is exposing us to so much freedom, which is pseudo freedom actually, we feel like, if so-and-so can do it on social media, I'm going to do it at my home. But you forget you're still under your mom and dad's authority, you know. I mean, by all means, if you don't want your mom and dad to tell you what to do, get out of their house. You know, find a job, fend for yourself. Or, you know, if you can't find a job, I don't know what you're going to do, but then don't expect your parents to submit under you in their home. You know, no matter the character of people that they are. You know, your day will come when you will be in your own house, setting your own rules, you know, and having that freedom that you want. So I often feel we classify our parents as being toxic because we don't want to be told what to do. But you're under their authority, and you are, whilst you're under your parents' authority, it says to me, you're a child. You know, you haven't hit that responsibility mark to make responsible choices and decisions for yourself. So rather than wanting to try and make choices for yourself, collaborate with your parents. You know, and find sort of like a middle ground. You know, that best serves them and serves you. You know, but now, you know, don't, when parents react a certain way because of your provocation, don't now classify them as toxic, you know. And it's the same people who, when they are now perpetrators, they'll say, but you never asked what the victim did for me to react that way. So now why don't want us to ask you what you did for your parents to react the way they did. So I think we need to tread very carefully around that one.
Okay, so we'll come back to this question. But I just want to, I'm reminded of the instruction, the biblical instruction that say children obey your parents. And by doing so, you will live longer, I think. And that instruction is not, it's not for parents, it says children. You know, the Bible is very clear that there is an obligation on my side as a child, you know, to respect and honor my parents.
Definitely.
But I want us to talk about in a case where there is toxicity, and it is definitely damaging to the soul, and one feels like, because there are like, unfortunately there are households like that,
where the kids are obedient,
yes,
but the parents, their behavior is
and sometimes there's like sexual abuse by the uncle, and nobody like wants to
talk about
it. Must
that.
Be, it must be swept under the carpet, so that everybody, for peace sake, but it's the other person is being eaten up by that trauma. So I want us to address that when there is like a toxic parent. So
in that manner, then we wouldn't say the parent is toxic, or the environment that the child is being brought up is a toxic environment. We'd say it's an abusive environment. So then that's a totally different stance. No emotional, no physical, no sexual abuse is to be condoned. Be it from the child to the parents, or from the parents to the child. And so in that scenario, I think what's always best for the children is not to isolate themselves. Because I think that's what most of us, it's an easy exit from our problems.
Sure.
We isolate. And like I mentioned earlier, we isolate and not speak up because, sometimes we are scared that we'll be judged or we won't be believed, because Uncle's Bani Bani is such a high man in the society. Who's going to believe a 15-year-old girl over, that uncle who spends so much for the community?
Sure.
But
and he's also a breadwinner.
And he's the breadwinner, so if we have to incriminate him, then the income goes away with him. But I think as children, we have to stop the fear. We have to stop the fear of being judged or being shamed, especially for something you didn't call upon yourself. Because abuse, you don't invite it, unfortunately, So we have to tell ourselves that I can't be afraid to be judged, or that I'm going to be shamed by the community or by my family, or that my family is going to lose income because of Uncle's Bani is a breadwinner. I need to do what's best for me and for the generations to come. Because...
But is it possible for like a 15-year-old who's really just overwhelmed?
Yeah, you know what? I think it depends on the type of communities we grow up in. In Makaya, it would be difficult because people are not exposed to these conversations we're having right now. Whereas, in more civilized places where people have access to a lot of the technology, and there are teenagers who are actually watching YouTube and stuff, and they come across our conversation, and then they share with their friends. The friend shares with this friend. It's possible because we are giving them a voice. I'm saying don't be ashamed. I'm saying don't be afraid. You didn't call that upon yourself. So it's just we need to mobilize more of us youngs in the communities where the exposure is little, and we need to go and have talks with those children, mentor those children, so that they can break that cycle as well, that vicious cycle that we see in the homes of abuse, or where kids are abused. But definitely I think we just have to overcome that fear, and then find just one person you can narrate the story to, even if it's another friend, another 15-year-old, and then maybe that 15-year-old can tell their older sister, who will then at least be able to facilitate how this whole thing should be handled. Because also most times we don't know, okay, now after I've spoken to someone, what then? But definitely find someone that you can speak to, because what happens as well with trauma, your brain will always try to take bits and pieces of what happened to try and protect you from the trauma. Because if you remember everything, you'll go crazy, like thinking, this is really what happened to me. So as soon as it happens, as soon as the abuse happens, speak about it, because that's when it's still fresh. You still have all the details, that your memory is still intact, you know, and so that if it does happen that there's court cases and stuff, there's someone who's a witness who can remind you of what you had told them, you know, and your story coincides, you know, because, you know, the law sometimes doesn't really favor victims. That's why even people are scared to go to law enforcers and all of that. So, but I think always just find someone that you can talk to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Whew, last question.
Okay.
This
was really a good conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Where can we report abusive, toxic parents outside of social media?
Okay. So there are a lot of platforms out there. There's the Department of Social Services, where you can get social workers, you know, that can come and intervene, check how the home is going, see if the child needs to be taken away from the home, or if they things that they can be implemented in the home to make it a more conducive environment for the children to grow up in. And then I know also there's the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, where, you know, if the environment that you are in is causing some anxiety or depression, you know, you can give them a call. It's a toll-free number that they have, and it's also an NPO, so you know you won't be paying for their services. And also, you know, it's a platform whereby once they hear your story, they can direct you as to, okay, now go there, go report this here. And then as much as it pains me to say the following, but I have to say it, our South African Police Services, I know it. Yeah, sure. It was supposed to be number one on my list, but I intentionally did not say it first, because, you know, there's been so many disappointing stories of victims who haven't gotten their justice, or who were just turned back.
Those are things out.
You know, but it is also there to report any sort of abuse. You know, it's not just for reporting abuse between partners, even if you're being abused as a child. And then, you know, I think if you are in a community where, you know, there are elders that you can trust, report it to the elders, you know, in that community, because they can come in as mediators between you and the parents, you know, and the parents won't feel like you are when you try to speak to them. You know, there's an elderly person who's mediating for you. So I think, those are the things that I can come up with now.
Sure. Yeah, I think I'd also just encourage, find somebody that you know in person, and even if you found like a therapist on social media that you really just been following and you think, you know, they are worth giving a try, I'd say meet them in person, arrange to see them, whether it's a woman or just make sure you see them in a very public space. Request for an appointment to be in a restaurant, or like be a coffee shop, and then see them. But I think it must be done in person, as she said, that, you know, it's very important that people see each other, they hold hands, even though you might not have to do that with your therapist. But I think in person it just does a great deal of a job when people are in person and are just sharing their lives together. I think that's it for me. What other thing?
I'll just end off by saying, you know, it's also our responsibility as the younger children, the older children to the younger children, you know, who are still in their teens, to be their voice. You know, because I think also your platform is probably going to reach, you know, an age group where we kind of where we are. It's not really going to be reaching the teens who this is actually for. You know,
I think it's for everyone.
True. Yeah. But you know, for our age mates, you know, if you are recognizing abuse either to yourself or to your younger siblings or your younger cousins, please be a voice for them and notice the changes that they have. You know, you can always see when a child is not that child that you know. You know, pester them, ask, you know, because they want to be left alone, but not really. Them pushing back is actually a call for help. You know, so pester and find out what's going on. You know, monitor them and honestly be very intentional about wanting to help. You know, I think we are so passive when it comes to people's lives until they've lost their lives. And then you're like, I could have seen that. So be very intentional with the relationships you have with your younger cousins, with your younger siblings, and be their voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Really
appreciate your time and your inputs as well. Really appreciate it.
Alright guys, I really hope you enjoyed the conversation I had with Younger. I really did, and I actually learned a lot as well just from conversating. So please don't forget to like, leave us a comment, you know, engage, and then share, because you never know who this might help. Tell your people to also share, right? And click that notification bell so that you can receive more content from my girl.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And from us. We'll see you guys soon. So this is
okay.